Hey there, Jessica here. So I wanted to share something that is a practice of mine personally that has helped me over the last couple years now. If you suffer from any lower back pain, sciatica issues, which can actually show up sometimes different in everyone, it can show up as a lower back pain that radiates down into the glutes, or you can sometimes feel it as hamstring pain or tightness that won't loosen up. I've had it in both legs and both sides, on and off since I was 14 actually, as a dancer in high school. And the first time it came on, it was absolutely crippling, and I had no idea why. It would just suddenly shoot pain, and I'd be on the ground in high school. I ended up going through a different physical therapy. I ended up in chiropractic. I tried massage, of course I tried stretching, all the things, and whenever I would have flare-ups, there was just nothing that would really relieve it. Eventually I had to actually drop out of dance. I was a dancer in high school for a couple of years, and it was my favorite thing, but I couldn't even participate because I was in so much pain all the time. And then I got into yoga asana practice and was introduced to yoga in general. And the first year of my yoga practice was so beautiful because, of course, I had this huge opening and this new practice in my life, and I loved it. I was borderline obsessed, and I was doing classes like 4 or 5 days a week, and working at a yoga studio and trading work for classes. And anyways, then I started having flare-ups again. At the time, I was doing a lot of running and yoga, and when the flare-ups would happen, I couldn't do anything. So it was a very emotional thing for me to go through when I, of course, found this new thing that I loved doing and I couldn't do it so much. So my yoga practice actually benefited from those experiences because I really learned how to yield to my injuries, to my body, and I learned pranayama so deeply during that time. So I spent more time in the internal practice rather than doing the external practice a lot when I would have flare-ups. I was blessed enough, lucky enough, I can say, for many years in between that first year and then up until the last couple years without any flare-ups, believe it or not. So it was about a decade, about 10 years without any kind of sciatica issues. And then I started having them again in the last couple years. Granted, my physical practice has dramatically changed. I'd say I backed off of doing a lot of asana, and I've been doing a lot of other kinds of physical activities and athletic sports that aren't necessarily even or balanced rather. So things like disc golfing, which involves twisting the body a lot in one direction, or if you were a tennis player or a regular ball golfer, same situation. I got into a board sport, and now I'm also boarding, which is one-sided again if you're dominant on one side. And I'm really enjoying that. So I know a lot of my work is to try to keep balance, and I need to do more countering to keep that balance. But in the meantime, also, when I start getting the sciatic issues again, I have to deal with that so that I can continue to function in my life and do my yoga practice, my asana practice, and not have pain. So I'm going to share one of the tools, practices that a friend of mine also shared with me, also a body worker, wonderful body worker, and martial artist. And it involves one tool, a tennis ball, or any kind of, I think a lacrosse ball will also work, but tennis ball is what I've used. It's easy. Most people have one in their home. So I'm just going to go ahead and show the practice. Well, I'll explain it first, and then I'm going to do a little time lapse and do my own practice, and then I'm just going to put it on here and show how I go through and work out the areas so that I can relieve some sciatic stuff, because I'm having some right now. Basically what we want to do, and then I'll go into the practice itself, is you're going to take the tennis ball and you're going to start by finding the lower back, obviously. So we have these grooves along the spine, right? These two dips in the muscle, and then we have the two main erector muscles, okay, along the spine. And we're going to take whatever side you're having the issue on. If both, you can do both. All right, but mine's on my left side. You can take the ball and basically find wherever that muscle is. Now I'm going to do this laying down. You end up laying down, I'll show you. And you just go in and you put pressure on that by laying down on the ball. And very, very slowly you can just start to rock so that that ball moves down back, all the way down. You can see my back is pretty tight there. And you're going to just lay down and allow that ball to move very slowly, getting into those points that almost make you want to hold your breath or clench your jaws, and breathe, obviously, and especially exhaling fully. So when you feel that tension, you can take a nice inhale, and if you want in this practice, if it's really intense, exhale out of the mouth. So I will a lot of times even sigh. I'll make a sigh out, like a audible ah, or ooh, anything that feels good. Also working the ball down into the glute. All right, we're definitely going to get into the piriformis muscle, which is right over here, and that muscle is where the sciatic nerve will often innervate and then cause a lot of pain because the muscle will be contracted over the nerve. So I'm going to go into the piriformis, and then also into the side of the hip here. I'll show you, you can move to the side a little bit, rolling onto your hip. Find these pressure points, allow the ball to rest there until you feel the melting happen. So the melting is like, you just lay there, you breathe, and you'll feel the muscle as you relax with your nervous system. The muscle will start to melt. And then energetically, you can feel, okay, it's released, and then you move to the next spot. So a lot of times that tension will actually move around the body, and you might even feel, as you start to release your lower back or in your hip, you might start to feel different things also releasing in different parts of your body. Sometimes your neck, your jaw, everything is connected, as we know, but it's always such an amazing thing to get into the body, to one part of the body, and actually feel the release happening in other places. So this actually is a type of meditation practice. I would consider this a yin practice or meditation practice, where you're going to get really tuned into feeling your own body, what's going on, where the tension is at, and then, breathing, being very sensitive, feeling your edges, allowing yourself to breathe into those tight spaces. If it's too much, obviously back off a little. You'll see I'll keep some pressure in my feet. I'm going to lift one foot at a time. Also, the lifting of one foot will bring a little more pressure in. Some of you might not be able to take that much pressure, and some of you, if you're more in tune and can handle that and can breathe, then lifting the foot and doing the little maneuvers that I also will do might be for you to get a little deeper. Another thing that I do with the ball, I might not do it today, but we'll see, is so I'm working the back, but I'll sometimes work the ball if it feels called to do that to the front, and do some psoas releasing with the tennis ball. Now that is a little more intricate and very sensitive, as of course the belly area has all the organs and all that stuff too. But maybe I'll do a different video for psoas release, which is also extremely good and beneficial for lower back pain, releasing the front body, of course. But today we'll do the sciatic release with the tennis ball for the back, and go from there. Okay, so I want to give a little more in-depth explanation and display of what I was doing. So can cover any questions you might have had about what you just saw. So basically you start, as I showed you, right, ball at the lower back. Now you might have noticed that I was doing some rocking, right, of the hips. Now, of course, that was done very, very slowly, but mostly if you want more pressure, you'll work with the hips actually off of the ground. So a slight tuck of the tailbone, so the hips are elevated. And as you tuck the tailbone, you're actually almost bearing down on the ball by pulling your navel in toward the spine. So that's going to give you a little more pressure. And then even more than that, of course, is lifting the foot. So whatever side the ball is on, you would lift that foot. And you can either just keep the leg up in the air, you can pull the knee in toward the body, and then you'll feel that pressure there of the lower back. Or you can even hook the foot of the ankle on the opposite knee. Now from here, you're going to feel that pressure again, bearing down. You can inhale, maybe rock a little toward the earth with your hips. And then as you exhale, maybe pulling the navel in and lifting the hips. And then after a minute or 30 seconds or however long you're spending there, you saw me grab the ball and just going ahead and moving it like an inch down and doing the same thing there. So you're going to feel and move your way around. You can, again, keep both feet on the ground, or if you're like me and you want more pressure, again, working with one foot up. Or even if you have both feet down, you can still put more pressure just by, again, tucking the tailbone and almost pressing the lower back down toward the ground or onto the ball. And then you can rock back down and back up. And the ball is not actually moving here. I'm staying in one place. Or rather, the ball is staying in one place and I'm rocking the body. When I work down to the glute, because you just keep going inch by inch, I might roll a little here, like if I'm going to roll onto the hip, and I might stay in a point that I feel like here, this pressure point is very beneficial, and then rolling back, back to the center of the glute. So I spent some time here, a lot of time on the piriformis. You also saw me go into a little bit of a twist, laying on the ball, coming back out of it, just moving my way around that whole glute area. And there are some really sensitive places in there, of course. So I worked my way around the hip and glute, and then I went right back up to the lower back again. And I worked my way back up to the lower mid-back. All right, so you can spend a lot of time there. And then, of course, I ended with some twists. You saw one side and the other. Give yourself some time, go into each side and spend a couple minutes. Maybe like 5 breaths on each side, or you can just go a couple breaths on each side, but do it a couple times just to neutralize the spine. And again, if you want to do the other side too, the other side of your back and glute that aren't having issues, it's wonderful just to keep it balanced. Just spend maybe a little more time on the side that is giving you issues. And then always, of course, end, if possible, I would highly recommend ending with a shavasana. Just ending with some stillness, giving yourself some time to just lay and become still and allow the practice to integrate into the physical, not just the physical body, but into the energetic system, the energetic body. Very beneficial. I would say it's very necessary for us to do. So that's it, you guys. If you have any questions on the practice or anything that I talked about, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to answer them as best as I can.